We're at 6326 Ridge Avenue in Pleasant Ridge, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. And we're going through the rearmost stack. It's a 3-inch right inside the basement door. Seems to be the furthest one back. I believe the main is in the middle of the street on Ridge Avenue. And we're just looking for any structural issues, any root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the potential buyer. The stack here, both the stacks down here are the main stacks, are PVC, so they have been replaced. There's cast iron in spots on the smaller lines, like coming out of the kitchen. So originally this was cast iron, I assume. So I'm looking to find either cast iron or clay underneath the floor, probably clay, which is what it looks like right away as soon as even before we get into the floor here. So, but I'm going to have to go through the other stack because this has a trap on it. So this is probably an old downspout line that they converted into sanitary, because they are allowed to, in this area, storm and sanitary lines are combined. So they converted an old outside downspout line when they did some additions and just used this line as another sanitary line for the bathroom upstairs. So I'm going to have to, I mean, that looked good as much as I could see, but I'm going to have to actually pause the video now and go in from the other full stack. Just if you come through the basement door, just to the right behind the stationary tub. Okay, so we made the move over to the larger stack. Wipe the front of this camera off a little bit. This is a new stack also. Turn sideways yet. So this one should not be trapped. And this is also clay underneath the floor. So I could tie in right next to it here. You have a little bit of roots coming in, some finger roots. It's not in the flow line, so it's not affecting anything right now. It is a 6-inch line underneath here, so there's plenty of room. But you might want to put some, like a root axe or a chemical down there to kind of burn those roots back a little bit. And we're turning into the main line. Be heading out towards the street. There's a little bit of water here. It's not much. That camera lens is about a ½ an inch off the bottom of the pipe, and this is a 6-inch diameter pipe, so it's pretty common to have a flat line inside the house. They don't tend to put a whole lot of pitch on it, so they don't have to get real deep underneath the floor itself. So hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit better when we pull back in that one little spot there, just because I was also pushing water in front of the lens. Have a little bit more roots here, not down in the flow line, and having roots in a line this age made out of clay is not uncommon either. A lot of it just has to do with keeping up with some maintenance on it. I imagine this line is probably 100 years old. Not to mention there's probably a few trees out there that are pretty close to that age.
and a little bit more roots. None of these look to be causing any problems right now as far as, you know, backups or anything. Everything looks like the flow line is pretty wide open, so it doesn't look like it's catching anything right now, but it is something that you would want to pay attention to for the future. You don't want to, if they do grow into the flow line, obviously it could cause a backup and catch, you know, toilet paper and debris as it goes down the line. Now this is a fairly big root ball here. It's like it's only on the left side of the pipe. Should be able to get past it. You can see there's already toilet paper caught on it, and that may be a wet wipe, which we always recommend against using these, because these things do not break down. As you can see, it's still in a full piece, and that can easily cause a backup. They can a bunch of stuff will build up on that. With toilet paper, if that was to hit, it would disintegrate in the water, and you wouldn't see the whole rag like that. So this is probably going to need a cleaning. And again, recommend not using these wet wipes, because if there is any, even in a brand new line, we don't like these things. If you're going to use them, you know, throw them in the trash. Don't throw them down the toilet. They cause backups all the time. So gonna pull back. I did push that out of the way, and I'm just pushing it down the line. But that root ball is right at 50 feet. To have it clean, somebody will want to know, you know, about how far they would have to go. There's another little root sticking in there, but that, yeah, those wet wipes are horrible for this. Especially when you do have some root intrusion, they'll get into those roots and they'll get stuck, and then everything will just pile up behind it, because it's not, like I said before, they don't break down. This section is all looking pretty good. A little tiny bit more roots. That could be, you know, that could be taken care of with a chemical. It's been looking pretty good for a while. It seemed like once we got past that 50-foot mark, must be getting away from the trees. Looks like we may have switched over into concrete pipe. Kind of hard to tell. No, it's still clay. Just the color got a little washed out there. Pretty good. And a little bit, I think those are just spider webs right there. Looks like we're making a turn. Maybe making a turn down into the main. Let's see if we can get it to jump here. I am 100 feet out, so I may be getting ready to turn right into the main here. I'll have to go out. Looks like I'm dropping into the main. If you can see on the top side, or the top left side, I'm sorry, there looks like an opening. I believe it's just making, a lot of times they'll make a slight turn at the end when they're at the main to bring the flow in at an angle. And it looks like that's what we're doing. So I think we've located, if nothing else, oh, yep, there we go. So I did just pop past it, and that is, we're dropping right into the main in the street at 94, 95 feet. And so we have made it all the way out to the main. Probably within, say, 15 feet of this is owned by the sewer district. Everything out in the street. If there was a problem there, that would be something that they would take care of. So really it looked like the second half of the line, everything past about 50 feet looked really, really good. Structurally the pipe looked great. The only problems we found were a couple spots with a little bit of root intrusion. Again, that's normal for a house this age with this pipe material. Nothing of major concern. Something that could be taken care of with regular maintenance. And none of those look like they were affecting the flow line, with the exception of the one at exactly 50 feet. That one should be cleaned out immediately. And again, the whole discussion of, not using wet wipes is an important one. Trying to get a little bit of water on the front there to rinse the camera off. There we go. Little stuff like that. I mean, I don't even know if using a chemical on that would even help, because you have to kind of get lucky for it to catch on those roots hanging in, and there's not a whole lot there. It's just something to keep in mind for maintenance. Usually, if you have a good cleaning done, you can get anywhere from 3 to 5 years out of a cleaning. And if you use chemical in between, you could, maybe once a year or so, you could possibly go a lot longer. Kind of depends on the tree and how far away it is, how fast the roots are growing. It's pretty hard to tell, situation by situation. This is the spot there at 50 feet that I think is that's a pretty big root ball. And I would recommend that get cleaned immediately. That's where we found that wet wipe clinging onto. Yeah, that's a pretty long root ball there. You can see the seam is right there, so it's coming in right here and then starting to work its way downstream. But yeah, that should be cleaned immediately. Either with usually a mechanical cleaning will do, but some people would suggest a jetting. I tend to think that mechanical cleanings do a better job on removing roots. They actually cut them loose. A little bit more roots, like 43 feet or something. Maybe 40 feet. 41 feet. So we got some at 41, some at 50. A little bit more at about 30, 31 feet. Here's that little belly. And again, I don't see that as a concern. There's no solids in that spot. It's just a real slight, like half an inch, which it could have been that way the entire life of the line. It wouldn't take much. Once you flush the toilet, anything in that spot would be pushed down the line. So that's not anything to worry about. Back in the final leg. There's some roots right there at that connection where the hub drops into the main line. We're just about ready to turn up in the stack here. Here we are. Kind of hard to see because we're hanging vertical, and so the water's just dripping off the edge of the camera. That's all. we are back out of the line. So again, just to reiterate, the only problem I found was about 50 feet out. It was a pretty substantial root ball, maybe 70% of the diameter or the area. It's something that can be taken care of relatively quickly, but you will have to, maintain a line like this. A lot of people don't realize you're supposed to maintenance your sewer lines. So just going to recommend a cleaning for now, and then just something to pay attention to in the future. Regular maintenance is the key to keeping this thing open and flowing well. So that'll be the end of the inspection at 6326 Ridge Avenue.